The good news is, the bad news is, so one thing is for sure, one thing is for certain, especially for those of us who didn't start saving early enough. So here are the numbers, which makes me feel less bad about my life decision. Chicken change. Those are the numbers. So now let's talk about reality. Meanwhile, we are not going to sacrifice our retirement for that. The main lesson here for hence therefore it doesn't make sense. My husband and I are on the same page on this. You're not helping the odds. I don't see anything wrong with working with a financial advisor as long as, so that's another option to make sure we have enough money saved. I have my eye on now. The good news is we now have a target figure to save up for retirement. The bad news is it is $1.46 million. This number is based on an annual study done by Northwestern Mutual. US adults believe they need almost $1.5 million to retire comfortably. This is a 15% increase from what it was last year in 2023. And 4 years ago, the magic figure was $951,000. So one thing is for sure, one thing is for certain. This number, the magic number we need to hit to retire comfortably, keeps increasing every single year. Why the increase every year? Inflation. Consumer prices rose nearly 20% over the last 4 years. And as a wealth advisor stated, once those prices go up, they rarely ever come down. So the target figure increasing every year is simply to make sure we have enough in retirement. Meanwhile, the average amount US adults have saved for retirement is decreasing from 89,000 last year to 88,000 this year. Back in 2001, it was 91,000. Thanks to the study, we know the average age when we start saving for retirement is age 31, which makes me feel less bad about my life decision when I started at 30, started saving for retirement at 30. Gen Zers are doing a lot better. They're starting a lot earlier at age 22, but that's also because they would like to retire a lot earlier. We also know that 3 in 10 Americans believe that you're more likely to live until the year 100. So not only is our savings for retirement decreasing every year, it's also looking as though 30% of us may run out of money because we are going to live longer. All right. So these are the stats. Let's talk solution. How can we save up to 1.46 million by retirement? Here's what I'm going to do. I'll discuss the info given, how much you need to put away every month to hit 1.46 million by retirement. And then we'll discuss reality, real life solutions to make sure we have enough saved for retirement. All right. So here are the numbers. Based on Northwestern's Planning and Progress study for 2024, if you started saving for retirement now at age 20, you only have to put away $382 every single month. Now, let's break this down. If you're paid bi-weekly, you then only have to put away $191 every paycheck. If your employer matches your contribution, then you don't even have to do that high. Depending on the math, you may only have to put half of that, say $95, and your employer's match will then take you up to $191 every single paycheck, right? So the figure you're about to hear are monthly, but always break it down. If you're paid bi-weekly, NC may not be a huge chunk from your paycheck. If you're starting at age 30, you put away $805 every month. Remember, that's only $402 every paycheck if you paid bi-weekly. Chicken change. If you're starting at age 40, you're putting away $1,792 a month. If you're starting at age 50, you're putting away $4,586 every single month. Those are the numbers. So now let's talk about reality. There's a reason why, even though we know these things, it's not as simple as just giving a figure, throwing out a figure. Put away $1,000 every single month for retirement and you'll be fine. Of course, if it were that easy to do, we would all be fine. There's a reason why the average American only has $89,000 saved for retirement when it should be more than that. Because the reality is, there are several factors. The number one reason why most of us don't have a huge chunk saved for retirement is because we don't, or we believe we don't have enough for today to have excess to put away, to put that huge chunk away for retirement. The other reason why we don't save for retirement is because we also believe we have time. But if you're watching this video, chances are you already know it's crucial to save. And so I'm not even going to tackle the second one. The main reason is we don't really have that much income where we can take care of today's needs and put a huge chunk, $400 every single month, towards retirement. The great news is there is no one single magic number for everyone for retirement. That figure differs for each one of us because the amount of money we need to retire comfortably depends on several factors, and those factors vary from one person to the other. How much you need to retire comfortably depends on your lifestyle, your expenses, your health needs, where you live, how long you live, right? These are all factors that determine how much you need in retirement. And so some of us may need more than $1.46 million, depending on what our lifestyle will be in retirement. Are we planning to do a lot of traveling, or do we live in a high expense, living expense neighborhood? Are we going to have a lot of health needs that will take a lot of extra pay from our wallet, right? Or are we paying for our kids' education, which will end up costing us more, every single month, or we end up taking a loan, not me, helping with education, right? Are you going to end up living till you're 100 compared to someone who lives till they're 80? How much they need differs from how much you need. So there isn't a magic number for every single person. According to Andrew Briggs, a senior fellow at American Enterprise think tank, he said most Americans retire with nowhere near a million in savings. A typical senior who reported a satisfactory retirement had only $50 to $100,000 in savings. The main lesson here for those of us who care to retire comfortably and have enough in retirement is not to get intimidated by that figure, that $1.5 million that we should have saved for retirement, especially for those of us who didn't start saving early enough, and knowing that that figure is also most likely going to increase year after year between now and retirement. Let's not get intimidated by that figure, because we now know that how much we need in retirement depends on several factors. Factors we can greatly manipulate now. We can do things now to ensure those factors work in our favor and cost less in retirement. First of all, by making sure that by retirement we are debt free. When you're debt free, you have less expenses. I mean, it's the same way. There's nothing magical about retirement and now. The only difference is you're not working, right? So the math still applies. You want the amount going out to be a lot less than the amount going in. And a great way to do that is to decrease your expenses. A good way to decrease your expenses is to make sure you are debt free, so that your expenses are just your regular needs, right? You're no longer paying credit card at a time. You're no longer paying mortgage. This is why I said retirement, because I have mortgage in mind. Mortgage, the way it's supposed to work is it takes you 30 years, your working years, and by retirement, you're mortgage free. And so that huge chunk, that 1,005, 2,000 every month, is no longer going out to a mortgage. And even if you move, you sell the house, and that helps take care of your housing needs. Hence, therefore, it doesn't make sense for you to keep leveraging that mortgage, for you to keep taking out home equity line of credit, even for your kids' education. Listen, my husband and I are on the same page on this. By God's grace, we'll have more than enough for our kids' education. But if that doesn't happen, God forbid, we are not going to sacrifice our retirement for that. They have 30 years to go. We already have a 20-year window before retirement. So it wouldn't be wise to leverage the home equity for that if our retirement isn't for sure, if we don't have enough saved in retirement, right? You also don't want to keep refinancing. Now, don't get me wrong. It's good to refinance, get that rate low, but you don't want to get into the habit of constantly refinancing just because you want to cash out, do a cash out refinance, or simply because the rate keeps going lower, you keep going, refinance it. Every time you refinance, you restart that clock. You restart year one. And every time you restart that clock, you're eating into the years to retirement. Staying healthy. Now, I know when it comes to health, there are things beyond our control. You may be the most healthy person, and yet by retirement age or close to retirement age, here comes a debilitating illness that is super expensive. I understand. But when you don't stay healthy, when you don't stay fit, you're not helping the odds, right? And if you're not helping the odds, then you might as well plan on saving up to $2 million for retirement. Staying healthy, staying fit is a good way to ensure that medical bills are not uber high for you in retirement, thereby decreasing your expenses, thereby, I mean, I don't need to be breaking things this down, right? We get it. Right. Okay. Working with a financial advisor. I know sometimes that gets knocked, but I don't see anything wrong with working with a financial advisor as long as you stay engaged, you understand what's going on, right? There's no was I want to say there's no loyalty with a financial advisor. You should understand this is your money, this is your retirement. And so you want to make sure the advisor is working for you and you understand what is going on. If you cannot speak comfortably with your financial advisor, if they're speaking over your head, then that's not the advisor for you. You chuck that one, get a different one. There's so many of them, right? There are advisors that are willing to work with you and break things down in a way you understand. So work with a financial advisor to see how much you need to be putting away, see how to better manage your money so that for some of us, we need that. We need the professional to step in and hold our hand and show us we're doing things right. One, for the peace of mind that we're doing things right. And two, so that we actually know we're doing things right, because some of us are not comfortable to make these financial decisions. And some of us don't even know what to do. And that's where a financial advisor comes in. Some DIY their room renovation and some get professionals. I like going professional. Financially, I'm good right now on my own, but I see nothing wrong with getting a professional to get it done and you have peace of mind that you're doing what you need to do. So that's another option to make sure we have enough money saved. Now let's tackle this big one. I think a major thing too is thinking we don't have enough to put towards retirement. If you can go on vacation, let me not even go that far. If you can go out to eat and spend $100 on a meal, $200 on a meal, you can afford to go. You can afford to save for retirement. If you can spend, let's say, $400 buying Christmas gifts, you can afford to save for retirement. Sometimes what we need is a change in our priorities, mental priorities, right? Because mentally we're thinking, oh, I don't make enough to put money away for retirement. But if you look at the numbers, if you look at the reality of things, yes, you do. We just put our priorities elsewhere. If we can find a way to find $500 to throw our children's birthday parties, we have money to put away for retirement and we can afford to increase that amount every single year so that we hit enough our target for retirement. What is the target? That's what you need to figure out. Now I can give you the numbers and I've discussed it in this video on how much you should have saved by age 30, age 40, age 50, age. So watch this video after that. But if you're going to tailor it more, because I think sometimes those numbers are unrealistic, tailoring it more to you, is think about that. In retirement, what are you going to be doing in retirement? Some of us don't believe we'll be traveling. We'll just, hey, I'm cool sitting at home. But you're planning on going to go visit the grandkids, well, then you're going to have money to travel to see them as often as you want to. Do you want a retirement where you not just travel, but you get to experience things that comes to town, concerts and going out to eat, and all for you is that, you're not going to be living with a family member. And so it's going to be assistant living for you. And if that's the case, you're going to need a whole lot of money for that. And with that in mind, that helps you reprioritize things. So knowing you have to put a lot of money away, the birthday parties is not going to be, renting out all of Chuck E. Cheese's or the trampoline, whatnot. Birthday parties would be, come over to the house, we'll put up balloons, you have cake and juice, because we need to put money away for retirement, right? And another thing for us is to not have the all or nothing mentality. Well, I don't have enough to put away for retirement. So you know what? Just take the wheel. No, no, that's not it. I've done a video about, financial principles, right? By the Bible. So that does not work. All or nothing means I don't have enough. And so I'm not going to. No, do what you can this year, and next year chances are your income will be better, and so you do even more, right? You start off with what you can now, with what we've just discussed, because we may think I can only do $50 a month. Well, that's great, but is it really only $50 a month? Right now, the economy the way it is, it may only be $50 a month, but that's this year. Next year, when things are better, you would be able to do more. So it doesn't have to be an all or nothing. Let's get started, and our goal would be to keep increasing it, just like you expect your paycheck to keep going up. You can try and increase that every single year. So I hope this has been helpful for you. It is for me. Retirement is something I have my eye on now. Something about 40. This year's 40 for me, right? Something about 40. 60 is not so far away anymore. So, and with the way they're going, retirement is probably going to be 70 by the time I get there. Either way, I'm one of the 30%, God willing, who will be here till 100. I need that money to last. And so I have that in mind. And having this in mind, the lesson I'm taking is we need to make sure we're putting a whole lot more out for retirement, not just in terms of stocks, but in terms of also, what other income producing assets can we get so that by retirement money is coming in. It's not just about cutting back expenses as usual. So I hope this has been helpful for you, and I'll keep bringing it to you whenever there's an update to retirement and whatnot. I'll keep bringing that to you. All right, thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Bye.